Welcome back to 60 Minutes. I'm Lester Holt.
And I'm Brian Williams.
In this series, we'll be interviewing two students, Jim Bob and Danny Brown. We will be conducting a side-by-side interview of both of them, focusing on how Iowa State's Psych 131 course affects both of their academic lives. Iowa State's Psych 131 course is designed to help students with study skills, time management, and goal setting. It is a course to help students who are struggling with the high school to college transition. Our first student, Jim Bob, is someone who has never studied in high school, and he hasn't taken the Psych 131 course. His goal setting is not the greatest, and he has very little time management skills. Our second student, Danny Brown, has taken the Psych 131 course, and he has had a very successful freshman year. We caught up with both of them to see how they're both doing in their academic lives.
So Jim Bob, what are some of the goals you have for academics this year?
Well, I don't really have any academic goals. I'm kind of just here at college for partying and boozing. That's about it.
And what about you, Mr. Brown?
I have a couple academic goals actually. I like to set them out at the beginning of the semester and kind of follow those goals throughout the whole year. And so far my goals have been to get a 4.0 and end world hunger.
Wow.
Nice. So, what does the day in the life of Jim Bob look like?
Well, the day in the life of Jim Bob. Usually I wake up, crack a cold one, put a good dip in. By that time, it's probably about 4 p.m. Then I'm off on my day. Usually get done when I need to get done. Sometimes I shower, sometimes I don't. That's how I feel.
What about you, Mr. Brown? What does the day in the life of Danny look like for you?
A day in the life of Danny Brown starts the night before. At about 11 p.m., I plan out the entire next day for myself. I wake up at about 6 a.m. and I go down to the homeless shelter and feed people, and I also give myself a hearty breakfast at that time. Then I take a brisk jog back to my place, take a cold shower, and I'm ready for my day to start. I focus about 12 of the next hours on academics, about 4 hours of that being class time, and 8 of it being outside work study. And then once I'm done with that, I like to read a few books, maybe work on my world hunger problem, and then I plan out the next day.
And how do each of you study and prepare for a test?
Well, how I prepare for a test is usually I try and show up to the exam. Once I get to the exam, I usually try and pick out the smartest kid in the class and usually sit by him and usually cheat off of him, and that usually works 50% of the time, and then the other 50% I wing it.
I usually prepare for an exam a week in advance. I like to set out a timetable, and I'll follow that timetable and usually read a chapter at a time, follow the highlighted notes, maybe make some post-it notes or note cards to study off of. Based off of the chapter title, I like to read the headings, kind of get a basic idea of what those mean, and then I might go over some practice exams. Usually that gets me pretty well prepared.
Well, that just about wraps up our 60-minute interview with Jim Bob and Danny Brown. I hope you all have been persuaded to take Psych 131. Come back next week where we find out how Michael Phelps smokes weed like a champion. I'm Brian Williams.
I'm Lester Holt. Back to you, Ann.